So here we go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll try and live through it as well. I've got a frigging frog in my throat, like Kermit. Kermit on roids. Right. Hopefully. I have it live. We're not live though. What the frig is going on?
Whoop.
Live.
Whoop.
Yeah, let me try and hit it again.
Now we're live. Now we're live.
Ah, there we go. There's a definite, I've noticed there's a definite delay on that. God,
It's that high-speed UK internet, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, Cambridge's finest internet. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I can't, you know what's really annoying tonight, John? We've been in this hotel. I've no microphone. I can't lean and go, hey, gentlemen, it's fixed. You might have to do it, dude. Have you got? You might have to do the official fix intro. Closer.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is the fix number 162, mother fluffers. Here we go. 162.
162. What do you think of the poltergeist?
It's quite sexy. Yeah.
Don't actually know what. I'll tell you what. If that's a moth, oh, fucking big moth. The fuck is that? Can you hear that?
No, I can't hear it.
It's like somebody started like a frigging mower outside my window or something. But anyway, let's check who we've got in the chat, John. Let's have a look. Tall Paul's in there. Trevor Chisholm's in there. Too smooth. Phil Woody, of course. Not the monkeys. Renata Tendon, the Drew 24, Will Strange Man. Arm Historian. If you're not subbed, you should be. Let's go, of Arm Historian. Dr. Zoom's in there. Krieger Command. If you're not subbed to him, here's your problem. Get over to Swedish Arm Wrestling TV. Stay golden. Hey, how many we got in here? 144 people. 144.
They are ready.
Band. Dev's Forearm is also in the mix.
I think they're all waiting for all this sexy drama that's been going on lately. I don't even know what's going on.
I'm fucking, I shitteth thee not, right? I have just been on. It's true, John. Just been on. I have 26 individual messages giving me aggro about stuff. I ain't even nothing to do with nothing to do with it. Anyway, Big Grove Goats, welcome to the show. Silky Wilkie flying in with a super chat. Contracts or sponsors. Engen has started a critical reaction. Which comes first, and does one facilitate the other? Not being insightful, just genuinely curious. Mate, we will get into that. Silky Wilkie, thanks for your super chat. We will get into that. But let's talk about what we want to talk about tonight as well, which will bring us round to that topic. East versus West is on number 9. And we're only, what are we now, 3 weeks away?
Yeah, it's like real. Like I've barely gotten over the number 8, and now it's like boom, number 9 is happening. And let's be honest, number 9 is wet dream territory.
Mate, let me tell you now. This card, if you look top to bottom on this card, I mean, everybody's going to go straight into the fact that it's headlined by a match that many people, I'm going to say, including myself, didn't think would happen this year.
No.
You know, I mean, what was the money on that? How many people believed that would happen this year?
Definitely not this year, because I believed that Devon was going to need at least 2 to 3 more matches to make his way back to Hermes. Well, if he won those matches.
It's very much circumstances in this instance, John, I think. A lot of the time, with the way that the sport is at the moment, I believe that circumstances do sort of dictate the outcome of things. We're on a winding path. We're on a, whenever you get on this thing, you're on a seriously frigging one. Look at your experience. Jesus Christ, you were going well. Then you got the back issues again, worse than they'd ever been. You were effectively at one point done, retired. Yeah. Right now, you're pretty resurgent, touch wood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're on the path. We're on the path.
Touch one more bit of wood than you knew. But we'll leave it. 4 bits of wood.
4. Count them. 4.
So we've again rolled. So let's just have a run through this card for anybody that's been living under a rock. And look at just what we've got. And then don't worry, Silky Wilkie, mate. We will get to that super chat. So we're starting with Thomas Mangy and Dustin Hyatt, which I believe looks like it's going to be the first match on the card. Massive fan of Dustin, super entertaining. Savage Searcher, right there. So, you know. Then we got Kyle Hutchinson, our very own Irish star, and he's pulling Brad Grundy. Brad's been impressive.
He has been impressive, but I feel like I've never seen Brad. So maybe somebody in the chat, can you tell me the size of Brad? Because I met Kyle, and Kyle is freaking enormous. He is a huge individual, thick, tall, everything. I know Brad is good, but like Kyle is an intimidating human being.
Very powerful lad. Brad obviously got way more arm wrestling experience.
Correct.
And Brad is, I believe, significantly underrated, you know. So, yeah, it should be an interesting matchup. It's hard to say who's the favourite in that matchup, but what is nice is obviously on a card of this magnitude, you're getting to see two guys there in the super heavyweight division who may go on to do something a little bit more significant. I actually feel like Brad had dropped down weights anyway. You know, I feel like if he really cut his teeth there and did well, I'm pretty sure he'd look to come down. Then when we're talking about supers, my God, I mean, Mehdi and Derek. Oh, holy shit,
dude! How heavy is Mehdi? Like he might be.
God.
Look,
Derek heavy.
Yeah, like 400-ish pounds.
Yeah, not as tall, but a truly gigantic man. Big boy, you know, Mehdi. I ain't seen Mehdi in, I'll bet it's 4 or 5 years. Long time, maybe more.
Yeah, he seems to have not been around for a bit, but just go type his name into YouTube and you will see the massiveness of this
big boy.
That's the match that will break the table, just not Wagner style. They'll just be at the table arm wrestling and it will just break because there's so much mass.
I also think this is a better match for Derek in a lot of ways. And, you know, I mean this very respectfully to Derek because I'm an enormous Derek Smith fan. Both as a person and as an arm wrestler, I think he's a very good puller, and I think he's a genuinely lovely lad. And he's immersed himself in the game beyond belief. I think this is a really good match for both men. Very well made. I expect that it can be a really solid, and I think it's very tightly contested.
Yeah.
To see. It's difficult because Mehdi's not been active. I'm going off the Mehdi that I'd seen pulling previously. We'll see. Right. And then sat above that, you've got Arthur Makarov, who is an absolute weapon at his weight. If you look at Makarov's weight, and I know this was an issue for Engin, he is almost untouchable, with the exception of Alan Slayer. Trying to think who else could do much with him. Very few lads at that weight.
His typical weight?
He would compete at 165, 75 kilos, at the max 80 kilos, but 165 is really where he's been at his absolute best. And at that weight class, my God, he's solid. I mean, rock strong, you know. So he's one guy that has given issues to Alan. So,
but has he been out for a bit now too? I feel like I haven't seen him, or has he just been kind of?
Yeah, a little less active than he'd been, but obviously, I think a lot of that's just because of the situation with the war and so on. You know,
right.
I don't think he's been injured or anything like that I'm aware of. But you can't really do a great deal other than match him against somebody you feel is going to be a competitive match, and I think Engin's probably struggled to do that. So he's had to go heavier. Yeah. And I would have done the same. Myself and Engin briefly discussed that. He said, "Geez, who can you think of?" You know. And I actually went for Adam. I thought he was solid. I thought Eduardo Tete might be someone that could do something there, but I still believe that Arthur would run him over. Craig Touye could have been interesting, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're having to go to those higher weight classes, John, to do something with him, you know.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, so the one that I kind of that I was just thinking of that I'm excited about. Farit Osmanli versus Georgi Zaranov.
I mean, friggin' hell.
So there's two guys. There's two guys that have been in East versus West that I have like, I fly my flag for these guys. One is Svetkov and the other is Zaranov. Zaranov, I didn't know much about before I had seen him the last few times. Dude is awesome. Awesome. Now we saw Farit against Wagner. Now this is a different arm, but what did you think about Farit? He didn't seem to me that he looked as sharp as he had the time before.
I have seen Ferret a couple of times. Ferret's been, I think, in as good a shape in the last 18 months as he's ever been in his life.
Okay.
Talking just physical appearance.
Yeah.
He was not that guy at the last outing.
Right.
In the same way that you'd say, apologies everybody for the frog in my throat, I've got a bit of a cold. In the same way that you'd say, and this is without taking anything away from George as well, but you would say that Morozov was not the same guy.
Right.
Now we have seen at East versus West, and he just simply wasn't. I mean, you know, I think he told me in the lift he was like a good 11 kilos lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. It was visible. It was visibly clear that he was smaller.
Yeah. Now, let's be honest. He's still a frigging monster. I wouldn't like to, you know, you wouldn't want to peel him off your missus.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Just now, let it be. You just let him be.
You'd be like, all right, dude.
Yeah.
You stay there. But in that same way, Ferret wasn't the best of him.
Yeah.
Would it have made a great deal of difference? I don't know. I mean, I've got to be honest. Wagner looked impressive, mate.
Yeah.
As impressive as he has. To be perfectly honest, he looked bigger than I've ever seen him.
Which you wouldn't have thought that to be possible either. Like, oh, I wonder if Wagner will be bigger. How? I don't know, but he was.
Oh my God, he was massive.
Yeah.
He really was massive.
Stole the show, too.
Oh,
Stole
God.
the show, in my opinion. He stole East versus West 8 was Wagner's show.
Well, the funny thing is, you've got to match Bortolato's intensity. Take some doing. Can you imagine if he was like an English-speaking, super articulate dude? He'd probably be worth a lot of money. He'd probably be in something like WWE or something, just because he's such a spectacular-looking individual who is genuinely man as a box of frogs.
Yeah.
In the nicest possible way. I mean, how can you not love him? And people think he's acting.
Well, that's the one thing that I had brought up. I had heard a whole bunch like, oh, Wagner, he's just he's fake acting. I'm like, no. I've met Wagner multiple times, and he's like that every time. Every time.
You go for a coffee with him, motherfucker all over you. That dude, that's Wagner. You know, Wagner gets excited like no one else.
Yeah.
You know? And he's absolute. And when he's on one, that's it. You can't get him off. I mean, it was, oh God, I laughed when he shook the table about an Engin piling up to the edge of the piling up to the edge of the. I felt bad for Engin because Engin's thinking, oh God, no, don't destroy my table. And Engin had specifically said to him beforehand, don't
go break the table.
Mate. If you're gonna go nuts, don't knacker the table. And he full on knackered the table.
Well, the best was, I think it was halfway through. I don't know if it was Jerry versus Hermes, but they were still trying to fix things on the floor from when Wagner destroyed him.
It's awesome, isn't it? Yeah. Absolute class.
Yeah.
But what I mean, Zaranov, mate, Zaranov's best days when he's really on, good Lord, that lad is strong as frig.
And he is the guy for me. The reason I like him is you cannot count him out, right? You can't. He could be one drop of blood from death, and he's still got that one haymaker ready to go in the chamber.
He's been so impressed. I mean, the match with Kalinichenko, was a tremendous, underrated battle, actually. Yeah. That was one of those matches which went under the radar. It was a hell of a match, hell of a match. And there's been so many like that. He's very, very powerful. So that one could go off like a bomb, particularly if Ferret does come in really good shape, And these are undercard matches. These are like, the
Right?
underling matches.
He's the dark card.
It's ridiculous. You've got, I mean, look at that. Irakli and Dadakian.
Oh, come
Holy
on.
shit. I mean, Dadakian's on the card twice, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, he's taken it.
Against Prudnik as well.
Adakian possibly has the hardest day of any arm wrestler ever. First, left hand versus Prudnik, and then right hand versus Zarakashvili. What a dude. What a dude.
Absolutely immoral. Oh my God, that's an unbelievable series of matches. Yeah, you got Vala against David, and you've got, Paul Lynn representing. Yeah. Lynn is on there against Ruslan. Brother's revenge. It's like freaking kickboxer. Yeah. Oh, you broke my brother's tit. Not that he's pounds in any way like that. Well, yeah, Ruslan's, for anybody who isn't familiar with Ruslan, baby brother time, another arch back. And believe me, strong boy. Yeah. So that should be very, very interesting indeed. But there was a time when Ruslan was something very, very special. You know, it really was. So Hutchins on there against a guy that I am really excited to see, Thagov, because he's been, everybody who watching the AMC, Ibrahim's a frighteningly powerful lad, very explosive, very aggressive. Looking forward to seeing that a great deal. That's a hell of a match. So when you look at this card, top to bottom, it's absolutely stupid. If that wasn't enough, you get to super heavyweight and you got LARRATT and Rivas. I mean,
realistically, you got 4 in Devon, Hermes, Vitali, and Rivas. Those are 4 of what, the top, arguably the top 5 to 7 guys on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, undeniably, you know, it's a mix up at the top, you know, and everybody's got their opinions, but let's be honest, that's quite a stack. And that lineup, just top to bottom, if you go through the names, the faces on there, wow, what a card. And what an absolutely immoral card that is.
Yeah, it's going to be very powerful. Very powerful. And I mean, the Devon versus Hermes match, where does this rank for you in terms of it being a special match? Because it feels to me like a special match.
Yeah, I think it's without a doubt a special match. Mm-hmm. Timing shocked me a bit. The circumstances shocked me a bit. I believe both men are ready. Mm-hmm. Watching Devon's prep, he seems to be a little different at the moment. He's moved himself away from things. He's been keeping a lower profile. That may be beneficial. Mm-hmm. Ermes looked amazing. Yeah. One of the most impressive things from Ermes in that matchup with Jerry was the technical proficiency from top to bottom. He didn't miss a beat. No. And I know from various people that earlier in the day he was drilling the movements. He dialed in exactly what he wanted to do. It was a masterclass of how you would beat that move. He has all of the disparate elements to do that dialed in. The match with Devon is a very, very different proposition. Incredibly different proposition. And that's going to make life very interesting. There's part of me, a selfish part of me, does wish that it had come a little later and you got more build up to it. But do we need it? I don't know. Is it going to be the last time these guys meet? Nope. Doubtful. If both are ready, I'm a big believer in no time like the present. In the words of the Pope, let's fucking go. So, yeah.
I do want to say this to back up, because I really haven't been able to talk to anybody about this on a live, but the way that Hermes pulled Jerry, I heard a lot of people asking, like, why is Jerry trying to put him in a hook? And I'm like, he's not trying to put him in a hook. Hermes has the most perfect angle of all time. Because what do you need to do with Jerry? This was the number one thing I was worried about, is that Hermes was just going to try to top roll him and he was going to fall into the same trap that so many other guys do, but he didn't do that. He went across. He went across and he was able to actually completely disconnect Jerry from his press, which is ridiculous because there are hardly any people ever in the history of time that have been able to completely disconnect Jerry from his press.
A lot of people believe, without going on my soapbox, a lot of people misunderstand, particularly newcomers to arm wrestling, misunderstand the nuance of what some guys who pull very effectively without their wrist do.
Yeah.
There is a popular misconception that when you lose your hand and wrist, that you don't utilize a great deal of pronation.
Right.
Simply not the case. If you analyze and you understand what Jerry does, Jerry is extremely good at holding his pronator with a broke back wrist.
Yes.
And that is what often stretches his opponent. And having been there, having pulled Jerry, I can assure you, it tests you out, it stretches you out. As you move backwards, he holds his pronator and you literally lose your hand.
Yeah.
And then he'll force down through you. And it is very, very difficult to combat. This is a guy that holds his pronator very well with the broke back wrist, feeds you in, and then goes to finish.
So you got the top roll, but he is pronating your hand that way, right?
If you back away from him, if you choose to go back, you will leave your fingers behind and you will end up in a reverse curl. It is not a good position to be in.
Not good.
He holds his pronator with his wrist back, so you'll break his wrist. He's not too worried about that. He doesn't really give a shit. But he will keep enough back pressure in there to stretch you out and then apply that killer side. It's very, very unusual.
But Hermes was able to get Jerry like this.
Hermes went straight across him.
Yeah.
Straight across, stayed on the ball, and that takes some balls to do that.
That's a scary thing.
It's like you're standing on the track when the train's coming.
Yeah.
You know, but in Hermes' mind, he's got the speed, the fast twitch, massive amount, a gang of confidence for a start, enormous horsepower, all of the elements that you would need to perform that correctly. He did it. He timed it. He timed it perfectly. It's run the gauntlet, but with real efficiency. I said it in the commentary on the day. If you're looking for a masterclass of how that move should and would be performed, there it is on multiple instances, and you can see how it disabled Jerry. Now, you know, the hardcore Jerry fans, and with some justification, may say, well, Jerry had a torrid week, he'd been ill a couple of weeks earlier, all those things. And you know what? There might well be something in that, but nevertheless, what Hermes did was perfect.
Yeah. Do
I believe that from what I personally saw, and this is coming from someone I'm an enormous Jerry Carrera fan. I always have been. I think he's one of the most underrated arm wrestlers of all time. A magnificent arm wrestler, what he does. On that day, he got out arm wrestled and he got technically taken apart.
Yeah.
And we've all, you know, you've been in this game long enough, that happens. Somebody just comes up and mocks you. God knows it's happened to me a couple of times. So, you know, it just happens. There's nothing you can do about it. But it was a masterclass from Hermes. It really was. He was phenomenal that day. Really phenomenal. And I'm kind of looking forward to this match and how it plays out from a technical perspective. I know that Devon is very, very aware of the threat and the layered threat that is represented by Hermes.
Well, one of the reasons I think this match is going to be so much more interesting is, I mean, Jerry, he kind of has the one really, 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 really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Devon has a lot of really good things, or things that, you know, are very high level. So I think we're going to see a lot of different looks, regardless of the way it goes.
It's interesting, mate, because both of them have ways to win in more than one lane. Yeah. Now, people might not understand that is the case, but believe me, it is. What weapon selection is critical. The manner in which these guys address the match is critical. both have things that can cause major issues for the other one, but do they have the presence of mind? Do they have the confidence to enact that on the night? One thing that you would say, and I spoke about it a moment ago, is that Hermes has just shown a very clear and present example of doing that spot on, of picking the right weapon and pulling it at the right time and pulling the trigger at the right time in perfect manner. I mean, it was absolutely exceptional. This is going to be a very different challenge with Devon, but I know that that Hermes has got the weapons to create major problems for Devon, and Devon knows that too. There are also things that Devon can do that will create major problems for Hermes. Will he choose to use those? We'll see. What it is a very, very different match for Devon than Gary Ninja.
Yes.
Very different proposition. Exciting, mate. Very exciting, because you've got two guys who've got a solid table IQ, various options. Speed is in favor of Hermes, but speed is not just centre to pad. Speed is first to position, and Devon's speed to position is underrated. It's underestimated. I would like to think that both guys are able to show up with everything intact, real mental presence, both there, very connected, neither one knackered, emotionally, physically, and we see the best from both men. And then if that's the case, may the best man win. I think it'll be a hell of a match, and I think it'll be a match that'll happen more than once.
I agree. I'm fired up about it. I'm just waiting I'm kind of playing the line right now. I'm like, ooh, both these guys are really good. But sometime in the next 3 weeks, I'm going to go hard for Devon. I'm just waiting. To pull the trigger.
It'll be interesting. But I would imagine that I haven't been on social media much this week at all. A lot going on. Obviously, the event we're on here, and I've got another one, the Arm Wars event coming at weekend. I would imagine that Hermes will start as a favourite.
Yes.
Particularly for a number of reasons, particularly what he's just done. I think he will start as a favourite. That could be a good thing. It's a different look for Devon in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
He's just come off a scenario where he was seen as a heavy favourite. That might favour Devon. Might be a good thing for him. Sometimes it's good to depressurize.
Change is good. Different type of fire to be in. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of mutual respect. I caught one thing from Devon where he was talking about the match, and he was saying to Hermes, "Thanks for your bravery for taking a match," and that was nice. And I know that's how he genuinely feels about it. So I would imagine that's reciprocated.
Yeah,
I would imagine they'll deviate from that path.
I hope they do.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? How much do you need that?
Well, this is the big controversy button, right? Because a lot of people think that a lot of what Devon does is completely fake as well. I think what Devon does is some of it is fake. Some of it is just a little bit of this. But from spending time with Devon this year, I've had the opportunity quite a few times. I think it's a lot more of it is real than a lot of people give him credit for. I think Devon feels very passionately about his opponents, whether that's good, whether that's bad. And I think the way he conducts himself, whether people like it or not, all serves a purpose. And I think that everything he does is done with intensity and intent to win.
Yeah, I think he believes in the art of war, and I think he believes in trying to dismember his opponents physically and mentally. And God knows it's worked for him. You go into a situation where we've seen it with great combat athletes throughout the years. If you go in there and you can beat the guy before we ever get to the table, awesome. Before you get to the ring, before you get to the cage, if it's already done or half done, makes your life a hell of a lot easier. And some people just don't like to be in that kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Don't feel like Hermes is going to cower in any way. I think the Gladiator's an apt name for the fella.
Yes.
I don't think there's a backward step in him.
No.
There never was in his dad. Massimo Gasparini was a solid arm wrestler, very different arm wrestlers to his boy, but he had a lot of the characteristics that Hermes possesses. One of the biggest ones being that he didn't have a backward step. The guy was an absolute grinder. You would have to pin that man,
Yeah.
And I know that Hermes is a huge fan of his dad, as a lot of lads are. He's very proud. He takes that sort of the name forward with great pride and honour. Very Italian in that respect, you know. And I think that this will be something that Devon will have picked up on. And I think certainly in the first instance, he will just show Hermes the respect. For anybody out there, you know, you'll get people out there who'll interpret it different ways. You'll get people out there that'll say that they feel like, "Ooh, is Devon scared? Is Devon worried? Is he?" He's not scared of much. Let me tell you, maybe himself a little bit, but outside of that, no. Devon's not scared of much. He'll be fine. He's certainly not scared of an arm wrestling match. I can assure you of that. And I don't think Hermes is either, and rightly so. It's just an arm wrestling match, and neither one of them are scared of losing, and neither one are concerned about each other. So the only thing that I hope is that both lads do go into there and we see the very best from each of them. And hopefully we can. I know the match with Jerry didn't look taxing on Hermes. He's obviously very ready now. I mean, he looked very powerful when we were over there. Really, and he looked bloody relaxed as well. You know, when you're around a guy and you just know, yeah, he's really chill, really relaxed, really in a good place. He was exuding that job.
Yeah. Well, you know? And it's from a performance perspective, I've been on both sides of that. And I am always better when I'm just like, hey, it's time to party, boys. Yeah. That's when I feel
no pressure.
You're quicker, you're sharper. You know, of course there are ways to use that anxiousness and anxiety, but the more I experiment with it, like if I can come in and truly just be there to have that experience of the match and do what I know I need to do, I always feel better.
Mate, it's huge. It's very, very important to be in the right mental headspace, you know. And I think that some of the guys that are the very best in the game, in any sport, I mean, we always make, you know, draw likenesses to combat sport. I don't think it's necessarily combat sport even. I think it's any sport. If you're a badminton player, tennis player, racket sports, if you're a motorcycle racer, F1 driver, crown green bowler, the guy who can perform under pressure, you know, the girl who can put the football on the penalty spot and not give a shit, that person. It's whoever can just not worry about the moment, and they can make it about that singular moment and cut everything else around them out, trust themselves and go all in. And when you connect with that, when you let go of the fear, when you want to win more than you fear losing, you become dangerous. You become the best of yourself. And that's, I think, something that on the right day, we've all experienced. You know, if you've been in any sport long, you know that day when it just feels, when everything, for whatever reason, everything was just right. And I think there are guys out there that spend a lot of time, invest a lot of time trying to take you out of that moment, trying to take you out of that headspace. Some with more success than others. Devon is definitely that guy. Will he do that idly? I don't think so. Do I think that he probably assessed Hermes and thought, maybe not the right technique with this guy? Probably. Yeah. You know, and I think there's a lot going on in each one of these guys' lives. It always makes me laugh when people think that, you know, they live in this little crystal environment where it's just arm wrestling and that's all that matters. And for how many people is that ever been the truth? You know, it just doesn't happen. So yeah, with a bit of luck, we're 3 weeks out. Hopefully there's nothing out of left field that, you know, creates any drama or unnecessary aggravation for either one of the lads and for everyone on that card, because my God, that is a card. You know, it's absolutely stacked. So really looking forward to it, mate. Really looking forward to it. I notice now we've got 364 people in here. Nice. Guys, hit that like if you're in here. And if you can sub, I'm approaching 19,000 subs, which is awesome.
Sexy.
For a little channel like mine. So really, really appreciate it. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that does tune into the fix, that supports channels like myself, John, and all the other guys that do this stuff. You know, you may love us, you may hate us, but thank you very much for watching, for checking it out. And it's brilliant to see so many guys coming into the sport from a fan perspective. That's what keeps building it, you know. So hopefully that continues, and matches like this and the card that Engin's put together there can only be good as far as I'm concerned. It can only be good.
Let her rip.
Let's get to a couple of super chats things. See what we got, because I know we had a couple come in there. So Swedish Arm Wrestling TV, get Neil to 20 subs this year. Changed my mind, mate. Thank you very much. You never know. You never know. It could happen. BKC Arm. Let's lobby for athletes to get individual sponsors so they can get good pay. No need to restrict them to organization-specific contracts. This will make us lose matches that we want to see. Tennis or boxing doesn't restrict. Why should arm wrestling? I mean,
this is the heater. This is the heater of the week.
And boxing do actually restrict BKC arm. I work in both of those fields in commentary, and they do actually restrict. If you look at the major tennis tour, it has all of those athletes contracted. So everyone you see within there is contracted. Some have cut out clauses and so on. Boxing is one of the most restrictive sports that I've ever seen. Combat sports generally is extremely restrictive in that respect. I think there's two ways you can look at this. Number one, I don't actually know a lot of the background on the contracts thing. So all the people that have messaged me, I'm not actually involved with any contract negotiations, contracts of any description. I do know that is the reality of life when sports start to increase in terms of notoriety and success. You will see contracts follow. Number of reasons for that. Obviously, people are looking to protect their investment. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly what I've been messaged about, to be perfectly honest. So I can't really speak about specific instances, but I am assuming that it is affecting the top athletes in the sport and will do. So the Devon LARRATTs, etc., will go under contract. And I would expect that is from the biggest promotions in the game. So I would imagine East versus West, King of the Table would always look to do that. We saw it in the past from WL and so on. One of the reasons for that is that they want to invest time and effort into pulling matches together. I mean, one of the points that BKC Arms made there is that we want to see the matches between the very top athletes. I am pretty sure, obviously Engin's Engin, he'll answer on his behalf. If it's Donny Dries, King of the Table, whoever's going to be the spokesperson for them, I'm sure they'll go the same way. But the aspiration from that side is probably to bring the matches together that people want to see as well. Mm-hmm. So whilst it can be problematic for smaller promotions, for other promotions, Arm Wars are one of the promotions that are not involved in athlete contracts. You've also got to look at what they are trying to deliver when these contracts are put in place. And often it's to try to ensure that you don't have a dilution of the talent pool. The card that Engin's put together there, you can see that it is made up of very, very significant level of athlete. There's an argument there that if other promotions came in and were to take away some of those athletes, that you wouldn't see cards of this magnitude being put together, and that waters down the value for money of the pay-per-view. And so East versus West suffers as a promotion, or King of the Table, whoever is contracting the athletes. So it'll be looked at both ways. What's your opinion on it, John?
Not knowing, there's a couple of things that I always think about when I think of contracts, because we were both around for the WAL era, and I think there were some good things about that and some bad things about that. So I'm always going to be pro the arm wrestler. I'm always going to want the arm wrestler to get a better deal than the promoter, because I'm an arm wrestler, right? So I always think about this. What is the contract for, right? Are you getting free money just to be signed? Is it like, hey, you're just going to get this money? Doesn't even matter if we have you pull or not. Like, what is the money to pulling ratio? And how long? I think the number one thing is possibly how long is the contract for? Because in my opinion, having you were much closer in the WAL. You were in the WAL stuff. I was not. But the thing that I saw from outside was that the WAL contracts were in some cases for a long period of time, like up to 5 years, I recall.
Yeah, they vary by athlete, I'm sure. And
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
I can't comment on this lot, John, because I don't know. Number one, I don't know which athletes we're actually talking about.
Well, so the only thing I have heard about anything is that Todd Hutchings signed a contract which precluded him from defending his title in AWE. But
Right.
I don't know anything about the terms of the contract other than he would not be able to defend his title. So that's all I know. Maybe there's other things. The problem, I think, for the pullers and the things that pullers need to think about are in arm wrestling. There's always somebody else coming along down the line that's got a little bit of money, right? So last time, I do recall several arm wrestlers getting into a bit of trouble because they had signed a contract, they weren't happy with it, and then they ended up pulling with some other situations or doing pulling with someone else, and then there was a kerfuffle here, there, everywhere. So I think you just got to be, for the arm wrestler, I want arm wrestlers to get that money. That is what I want them to do. If it's good for you, go get that money. But just remember, there's so many opportunities. Like for me, for a guy who's not getting an elite arm wrestling contract, might actually be better for me because other promotions are not going to be able to get the super duper elite level guys. And they might have to dig down into the ditch and pull up old Uncle John and give him a little payday, right? So for a guy like me, it actually might be good. But if that's just on the arm wrestler level.
No, but you make a good point though, because that is exactly what you do see. You see a situation where, if you look at something like the UFC, for example, you find there becomes a natural sort of transition of the talent pool, doesn't there? Because your top guys of the moment are all in the UFC. They come out of the UFC. If they've gained some notoriety there, they take that to other promotions, be it a Bellator or back in the day a WEC or Pride. Or, you look at the organizations and they generate their own guys. And sometimes you then see those guys transition across to the UFC. It allows them to come to prominence when otherwise they may not have done.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's only so many cards in a year. And all of these guys, when they're on a contract, need to be active. They want to be active. They want to be involved. They want to be the guy. They want to be the girl. There's so many of these. So there's a couple of things here. Number one, I think it's important to understand exactly who is being contracted. How many. For exactly how long. None of these things I have any knowledge of at this point in time. I'm sure that'll all come out in time. But I think it's easy to look at this and think, oh my God, it's super negative. It's super problematic. In actuality, it may not be. It may be beneficial. And believe me, I'm one of the promotions that will obviously be affected by this, I'm sure, because Arm Wars will be affected by that. We use some significant athletes. If they're contracted and we're not allowed to do that, so be it. In the past, the manner in which we've dealt with that is we do things a little different. And we've actually had carve-outs with some of the bigger promotions. We had that with WAL. We had it with UAL. Maybe we'll be able to look at something like that with wherever the contracts are going to be now. I don't know. I'm not got the crystal ball. But I think it's important to understand what the issues are and also what the sort of benefit and detriment is at any given time. Let's see who's involved. Let's see how many. Let's see how restrictive. I think sometimes one of the things that I'm pretty sure of is that most people, when we within the community, when we start talking about this stuff, 99.9% of people don't actually have the facts. We just get going in some direction because he said, she said, so it must be true, right? And so many times it's nonsense.
The one thing we can all take away is that most likely Travis Bagent will find a way to get paid and do very little work.
USS Liberty, never forget with the super text. But hi Neil, please ask Adam Silver about this. See Adam, I will do that, mate. I will do that. But look, I'm sure that if it's King of the Table and East versus West are the two organisations that people are talking about, I'm sure they will not have any problem discussing the ins and outs and whys and wherefores around that. But yeah, let's understand exactly what we're talking about and whether it is restrictive or whether it's beneficial before we get into it. Mike Hoffman with a super chat. Neil, what do you think about Ryan Bowen versus Ongrabayev at Arm Wars Iron House?
Oh dear God!
Better chance of me getting a love bite on my floppy dog than there is of that match ever happening, and not a Captain Hell's chance.
I mean, Ongrabayev. Oh my God. He might be the best pound for pound arm wrestler, even at his weight, that has ever existed in the history of time.
He's a fantastic fella. He's. I've just had a message actually from Engin Terzi saying, "Do you want me to explain on the live?"
Bring him on.
Bring him on. Can't knock that. Engin, if you're watching, mate, absolutely. In fact, Engin, you should have the link. Just check your email, brother, because I'm pretty sure I put you on it, but I'm going to resend it anyway on there.
I think that Ongrabayev is the most incredible arm wrestler to watch, period.
You know, I tend to agree. Certainly right now.
Yeah.
He's as good as it gets. From a pure arm wrestling perspective, the one thing it guts me is that I don't speak the lad's language, and I don't, therefore, I've spoken to him through interpreters and through other people, but the fact that I can't understand him is a shame. I wish I could. I wish I could speak his language and I understood, but in terms of his arm wrestling prowess, bloody exception. Fantastic. I mean, I loved that match with him and Mike, just the sort of, you could see the cogs turning as he was trying to break down the match. I mean, that first round was a great match. He's a magnificent arm wrestler.
I've never seen so much confidence, someone moving across and into different positions with confidence that is unshakable confidence.
I think the good thing as well, John, is that there's, with more knowledge of techniques, the freedom of information that we get from modern arm wrestling, I believe that there a new crop of arm wrestler will come, you know. And I think that those arm wrestlers will be, you know, as time goes on. It's like when you looked back at the original UFC and it was exciting and enthralling, and there was a level of ability there. And then as time went on, it got more diverse and more top guys came. You can say that something gets lost a little bit there, but one thing that you've got to agree upon is that some magnificent arm wrestlers will come. When you look at, I can think of 5 channel, a Voice of Arm Wrestling's one, Ray's channel, where you could go on there and immerse yourself. If a kid was to get into the sport of arm wrestling and just immerse herself in there, you could get lost in that, you know, for a month and just take it on, like having a trainer in your front room. And I've said it before. You see dancers that show up at dance competitions, and they say, "Oh, where did you learn to dance like that?" They're a phenomenal, polished, clean level of movement. They say, "Oh, online. I was just watching it online." So they watch and become like a little physical mimic. And I think we'll see that in arm wrestling, mate. I think we'll see guys come who are just gifted.
Yeah.
When you get one that's got the package, you know, they've got the speed, they've got the mental fortitude, they've got the technical prowess. Others will come that are just complete weapons. And if more money comes into the game, holy shit!
I do have a Canadian guy for you that I think is very Arm Wars worthy. You must know Mason Drosy.
Sorry, what's the name, mate?
Mason Drosy.
Oh, bet your ass! Yeah. Oh, I know Mason. Yeah.
I just saw him have a war with Joe Fox. It was from a tournament this past weekend. Like, he beat Joe Fox on the right, and it was fantastic match.
I've messaged Dev loads of times about Mace.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
He's ready. He's ready.
Yeah, he's got great potential. Only a puppy, but my God, awesome. Big Grove Goats is in the motherfucking house. What's interesting, I've heard numerous athletes talk about how great the last few years have been for arm wrestling and how great it is to be contact free. Wait a minute. Since I changed my phone, I can't Zoom.
I would say the last few years have been good.
Let me try.
And I think
email.
We had the death years, right, where nobody could go anywhere, nobody could really do anything, and that's where all of this right here was all started because of that, right? The whole online movement was started because of that. We couldn't do anything, couldn't do anywhere, anything, blah 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 blah. And
you
now,
were like one of the originators of live as well.
Yeah, because I was like, this sucks.
Originator.
Couldn't arm wrestle, couldn't do nothing. I think we knew of each other. I certainly knew you, but then that's how we started a friendship, is just because we were starting to talk. And I think out of that, for me anyways, all these relationships got started online. And then now, over the last 2 years that we've been able to move around, we've been able to do so many things, right?
Yeah, I remember that whole process, mate. I remember being a fan of your show when you first started, just thinking, oh, this guy's cool. Doing all kinds of stuff. You were doing shows. I found myself listening in while I was doing bits, and I thought, that's awesome. You know, Historian's another one now.
Yep.
You know, great. Just doing his thing, and I find myself, I'll be checking out Arm Historian when I've got a minute, you know, and others, Concrete Elbow and all that. You know what I mean? You're on it, aren't you?
That guy's got it figured out. All I know is that guy's got it figured out.
It's good. I am not a fan of some of the guys where you get people that are ultra negative or drama monkeys.
Oh, of course.
Into the you know, if you're sort of just pushing the drama all the time, that's not great. I'm not into that. So the guys out there that are just all about the drama, that's not awesome. Here we go.
So long story short, I do think it's pretty awesome right now. I think we've been in a really awesome spot with the growth of King of the Table, East versus West, AWE. We got all these promotions popping up, and we've got a lot more opportunities for a lot more people.
Multitasking the frig out of this, John. Hanging here.
Yeah.
Hanging, can you hear me, buddy? I'm assuming that's a no. I can't. Right, I'm just hanging. If you are watching the show, mate, check your email. Just sent. Oh, he sent me a message. Since the time, I'm not sure it happened when Travis invited me. Have you got the number meeting code? How the?
Let me see.
Where did I get that?
If you go on the bottom.
Let's have a look.
And okay, meeting passcode. I will.
Do you know what it is?
So if you go to the bottom and you click on participants.
Yep.
And then you go to invite on the bottom of that next window that pops up.
Got it.
And then there's a meeting passcode there. I think that's what he needs.
Okay. Sending it now, Engin, if you're watching. 4. Boom. It's on its way to you, son. All right, let's have a look.
Yeah, and also Aussie arm wrestler in here. What's going on, my man?
Is Aussie in? Go on, check.
He's in, and I think that arm wrestling is having, Neil, you've been arm wrestling for what now, like
175 years.
Yeah, I'm not quite there. I'm like at the 13-ish route, but you can see that arm wrestling, it goes through all sorts of weird stuff, and it happened before the internet stuff came along, and it'll keep going. And there's always something different for arm wrestling. There's always something new that comes along.
You bet your ass. And it won't stop. I mean, I've got to be honest. I'd love it if WL came back.
Right?
You know, you've got the high five coming, knuckles up.
Right?
Oh, knuckles up, guys. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. Another solid card. You know, they're coming up all over the place. We're doing a thing with Arm Wars. Oh, I mean, I could soapbox living tits out of that. People talk about they want to see good matches, and I always think, are you watching this Friday nights free. Get over there. If you have not seen those cards, good God, get over and watch some of those matches. I mean, they are ridiculous, guys. Every Friday night, we're out there, apart from when it is East versus West, king of the table. When the knuckles up are on, we won't put anything out on those nights because we don't want to interfere with the promotion that's got their gig. But outside of that, we have a show coming up. Our members get more, so we put a lot of stuff out for those guys as well. That's coming all the time. And
was that a members match last week with Tyrion and
free view, mate? That was free on Friday.
That was great, huh?
What a match. What a match. If you haven't seen that, John Terry and James Wall.
Oh, stupid.
Second round of the battleground. Mate. Immoral. Absolute class. So LS with the super chat. Hi, gents. The new guy here. Oh, welcome to the sport, brother. Hope you're good. But thanks for the advice. I won my first super match, 3-1 left, 4-1 right. Good lad.
Right on.
You want to continue on the left arm, mate. Very good. You know, it's funny. You know, this is it. You're getting these new guys coming through all the time now. And many people coming into it.
I like it when he's like, I've had my experience. Now you go forward. That's the best when you can get that feeling. Even if you go in and you, like my first tournament ever, I was 0-2 on the right arm and I won one match on the left, one match against another brand new newbie guy. But that was enough. I'm still searching for the same high that I got from that one win 13 years ago. That's what it is for me. I am just a junkie for that feeling. And
yeah, that for early years, they're hard to beat.
So good.
Hard to beat, mate. They really are. Let's have a look here. Trip War 30303. I appreciate how Uncle John supports and promotes East versus West, even though he's not the biggest fan of Engin. Really nice behavior. You guys are always awesome. I don't know whether John's not as big. I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on that.
I think Engin and I have different communication styles, let's say. But I can recognize that arm wrestling needs Engin. And I can recognize that East versus West puts on really good cards. And it doesn't matter what about my feelings about anything. And look, at the end of the day, whether you love me, hate me, I love arm wrestling more than anybody hates me. So that's it. That's all I can say.
That's a good line right there. That is a good line, mate. I love that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
He's put, like him or not, Bowen always promoted East versus West and King of the Table, urging his viewers to buy the pay-per-views. Core Sports replied by taking his AWE champ away from AWE. Engin's forehead taco, honestly, mate, I don't think it's about Ryan. Really. I think that's, there's a lot of narratives that get out on stuff like this, and you can take it any way you want, but I genuinely don't think it's about Ryan. I think it's more about East versus West and King of the Table and protecting their investment. That's what I honestly do believe. And as I say, I'll be in the same boat as Ryan, I'm sure, because Arm Wars is a promotion and we do utilize big athletes, and it will be problematic and it is difficult. I've been there before, as I say, with the WAL. I've been there before with UAL. My honest opinion on that is it's not just about Ryan. I don't know what the sort of narrative that's gone out there. I've got some catch up to do. But from what John was saying earlier on, it seems like this has come to a head over. So Hutchins, Engin just messaged me there. Sorry, it doesn't get connected. Got him. Okay. No worries, brother. And I know it's stupid late over there, Engin. We'll try and catch up. I'm away this week. We'll try and catch up. And I'm going to be honest, I also don't want to detract from the card too much, because the last thing that we need at the moment is to overlook that bloody card, because the card itself,
ridiculous.
With 3 weeks to go, I mean, by all means, talk about this after the card's done and so on, but with 3 weeks to go, I think that card does deserve focus. We've got our own card coming up as well. I mean, Arm Wars is coming up this next weekend. We've got the Battle in the Capital coming up. If you're in the London area, if you want to come and watch that, it's at the True Athlete Expo on Sunday the 13th. Matches going from 12 noon till 4 p.m. solid card there. No
What are
restricted
some of the-
athletes, thank God.
What are some of the big matchups?
Mate, we got a battleground that I'm really looking forward to there. We're always looking forward to try and put on the best or most balanced cards we can. And I think this battleground is another nailed on screamer. The first match in that is Kevin Palco and Jason Hill. And I just think they're going to kill each other. I mean, if either one of them can hold their own dick for the next 2 weeks, I feel like I failed. I just believe, oh God, I think they're going to kill each other, mate.
I imagine them clashing in the middle. You know it's going into a hook. There's no other way, right? And I remember when I met Jason Hill in the hook, and then he looked at me. He has this real gnarly, snarly face when he knows he's about to go.
He does, doesn't he?
Oh God, that's going to be good.
I think that's going to be an absolutely phenomenal battle. Now, on the far side of that, for anybody that's a sort of regular viewer to Arm Wars, you will know that one of the guys that's really on the rise at the moment is a guy that we call Dirty Harry Lee. Okay? And mate, Harry is one of the biggest kids at the weight. You know, you see some guys and they are massive at the weight. You just look at him, you're like, oh my God. Now, he's actually called Lyle as well. Harry Lyle is very, very big, thick set middleweight. His neck is huge. He's one of those guys where you think in a couple of years he's nailed on 100 kilos. Right now, he can make that 85, and he is a friggin' weapon.
Yeah.
About a year ago on the Iron House 2, he faced Maynard Nenges. Maynard won in a friggin' dogfight.
Yeah.
You were there at that show.
Yep.
Absolute dogfight. For anybody that didn't see the match, it was an epic screamer. Both guys shaking like shitting dogs, wound inside, stupid war. And Harry's wanted that match back. Well, he gets it, but in the first round of a battleground. I mean, good Lord. So he's then come off the back of that if he can do anything with Maynard. Or Maynard, if he can overcome Harry again like last time in another battle, has to face whoever comes off, Falco and Jason. So that's going to be a ridiculous match.
Whoa.
That'll be a bloodbath.
What is the timing on this? Is this all one day or is this
one day between 12 noon? Talk about fast pace. Between 12 noon and 4 p.m.
Oh God.
On Sunday. You know,
those guys are
guy who you know, Remy Thibaudou from Canada. Now Remy's a solid lefty.
Yes,
I haven't seen him on the right much, but he's coming over left-handed, and he's going to pull with Maynard Nenges lefty. That's looking interesting. Elliot Eccles, very solid Yorkshireman. You know, leads on. He's, you know, a lot of guys have said when they see Elliot, oh my God. This guy was junior world champion. He's just rock strong, big kid, big thick set kid. He's pulling Rolly Ray Lipinch.
Ooh.
That's going to be an absolute, you know, no nice. Backward step in either of those guys.
No.
If that wasn't enough, we got Adrian Popescu, Tom Holland in a rematch of their death war from reality check on the left arm.
Yeah. Nice.
And Adrian has gone lighter again. He's around the 90 kilo mark. So that should be a really, really interesting encounter. Now that Tom's gone the other way and he's nearer 90 kilos. So the last time they met, Tom was nearer 75 kilos.
Right. Tom is big. He's getting bigger, huh?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So very, very, very solid. We've also got thick skin on there.
Yes. Gotta have thick skin.
Gotta have some thick skin. You know, so hell of a card, mate.
Beautiful.
Hell of a card. Really, really looking forward to that. It's at the XL in London's Docklands. Should be a bloody hellfire afternoon. Anybody who's down there, get yourself tickets. You can get them off the. We'll put them in the link. We'll put the link in the description after the show. Also, if you get over to the True Athlete website, you can get on there. And let me tell you, you will not be disappointed. There are going to be some friggin' screamers on there. Plus, there's a lot more going on at the show. Official Strongman are there. There's a big event with that. The bodybuilding on Saturday. We're only there on the Sunday. So for anybody who's going down to the show, We're only there on the 13th, which is the Sunday, the last day of the show. And
Is
we're on
your,
the main bodybuilding stage. Main
is
stage.
your buddy Eddie Hall going to be there?
You know what? I don't think Sir Edward is involved.
Well, next time you talk to him, tell him I'm going to whip his ass.
Ha ha ha!
I'm gonna.
May be at the dark card, mate. So that'll be interesting. May well be at the dark card, but oh yeah, it's coming. Yeah, Ed's a good laugh. He's a good old boy, isn't he? Let's have a look. Hopefully, I've not missed any super chats. I'll just make sure. I don't want to do that.
Oh, hey, I got one quick one for you. From your perspective, since LaVon is injured and has said that he's not coming back until next year, is Hermes Devon for the number one on the planet?
I mean,
interim.
Here we go. In the minds of the viewing arm wrestling spectators and community, I'm pretty sure it is yes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the path leads in that direction and all things said. But there are a few sleepers to this scenario, aren't there?
Yes.
We just bypassed that guy. LARRATT is one of those sleepers. And let me walk you back through history a little bit. And this is not said with bias. This is said with just actual fact. When he pulled against Dave Chafee, and I think that was a pretty solid Dave Chafee at that time, I believe that Dave got away with one. Just do. For me, Vitaly was very unfortunate not to go away with a win that day. Now, would I change the result? Absolutely not. It was a career-ending death war, the likes of which you very rarely see. So, with hindsight, you look back and you think, would you change it? No, would you hell? Everybody loved it. For the non-purists, that was a brilliantly entertaining arm wrestling match. Do I believe that Vitaly was unlucky? Big time. I don't think he was trying to push Dave off the pad. I think he was trying to pin him. And I think he did pin him. And I think he won the match. Honest, unbiased opinion. Couldn't care less who wins that match. Really couldn't give a toss. Don't have a dog in that fight at all. But I do believe that's the case. Now, styles make matches is the underline on all of this. For me, arm wrestling's always been a lot more grey than it is black and white. But it's very hard to deny that Hermes is as deserving as anyone to be considered right there in the absence of LaVon. A lot of people say, oh, well, he did better with LaVon than Devon did. Yeah. LaVon and Devon didn't really happen. His arm bust in the first hit. The first significant hit of the match, Devon's arm was scrapped.
Yeah.
If you're a 100-meter sprinter and your average is below 10 seconds and you set off and your hamstring tears in the first 20 yards, I guarantee your time's inside slower than it would have been if you hadn't. I'm not saying that Devon could have won that match, but what I'm saying is we didn't really get to see it contested with both athletes fit. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
So making comparisons about who lost more or less significantly is just you're getting into silliness for me, you know. I think that Hermes is starting this match in most people's eyes as a favourite.
Yes.
I think that Devon is a significant test. I think Devon is very strong right now. Will most people take it as whoever wins this match is the interim number one? Yeah. And probably with justification. Why not?
And realistically, even if you don't say he's number one in the world, he's the number one East versus West heavyweight and the number one East versus West super heavyweight.
Mate, they are quite possibly the number one in the world. I mean, if you were to say, let's do it the other way around, right? Take all of that out of it and say, oh, do you think the Latin could beat Hermes or Devon? I don't know. Could. You know?
Yeah.
Mike Hoffman with a super chat. Ryan stops the match and it's lights for Ongabayev. And it's lights. Do you mean lights out for Ongabayev, brother? And if you do, you need to step away from the crack pipe. Because is not the case. Let me tell you right now. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That ain't, no. You need to do better.
That's that's what they want, Neil. Neil, don't fall into the trap, Neil. You're walking into the trap.
That's some funny shit. So let's have a look. See if we got any more that I've missed. I don't think so. Oh, I don't think so. But I'll tell you what I am interested to see. The Latin and Rivas.
Oh yeah.
Has everybody's opinion of Rivas changed dramatically after watching Devon run through Rivas? Devon run through Dave in the way that Rivas had, because when Rivas smacked Dave like that, everybody was like, including myself, everybody's like, whoa, that's impressive.
No. Okay, so do you see Vitali and Rivas as just like who's got the better top roll?
I think there's more to it than that. I think the more purist top roll there, most people would in their mind think, okay, well, the more purist top roll out of those two is gonna be Vitali. But I was very impressed with Vitali's range when he pulled against Dave.
True.
The fact that he showed that he's got more to his game, that he would lose his wrist and continue to pull. I don't think many people assumed that he would. I don't think many people were expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's purist top roll, and there's restricted's the wrong word. What's the word I'm looking for? But there's who's got the most lanes, who's got the most options, and it might actually be Vitali. I don't know. Rivas is one of those guys that I do think is underrated again. I think he's one of those lads that might be better than we think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, put it this way, to address it the other way up, if he stomps the Latin, and the Latin's in good shape, then he's very, very significant. I mean, look at what happened with Georgie in this last event. How many people would have thought that was coming?
The only reason that I thought Georgie had a chance is because Engen basically showed everybody exactly why. He laid out the arm wrestling math, right? Because he had Morozov getting top rolled by Zauer, and then he had Zauer getting top rolled by Svetkov. And I was like, God damn. And that's exactly what happened. Now, regardless, I know maybe Morozov wasn't Morozov, but man, I love Georgie Svetkov. I'll tell you what.
Georgie Svetkov, it doesn't get top rolled much.
No.
He keeps hold of his hand. He's another dude that's got massive potential. My God, he's got massive pedigree, underrated pedigree, And it'll be interesting to see who. I said it at the press conference with Georgie. How many people just were underrating Georgie, do you think? How many people saw Jerry pull him and thought, wow, Jerry's had such a bad day there. Jerry was underperforming, didn't pull to his best. And underrated the fact that George is actually a friggin' handful for people.
Well, think about it. Georgie, he's top roll dominant, right? So he does the thing that you don't want to do to Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it anyways. And he still did pretty damn good when doing the absolute opposite thing you want to do.
Do you think that showed up a weakness in Erton? Do you think that he would always struggle against a really, really prime Hermes on the right arm? Somebody who's got an incredible hand and wrist. Do you think someone like LARRATT, when he comes in firing all cylinders, is a difficult match for Morozov for the same reason?
Today and tomorrow? Yes. 6 months from now? I bet not.
Well, you do look at Morozov and you think to yourself, he is one of these guys that's in the ascendancy, and he's pushing very hard and making
young, and you can tell that like think about, because how old is he? 25, something like that. So you're 25 years old. You are nearly at the top already, and he still has so many areas where he can advance himself. He can get better here. He can get better there. And you can't. I think Morozov, if this stomach problem issue goes away and he can whatever he has to do what he does, as long as he can, be careful with that and be healthy. I don't think there's anything that he can't shore up because he's so young, right? He can
Well,
fix
it's like all this stuff. I mean, the bone broth thing, the fact that he's living off soup. How many people are going to look back on this and think, oh, he did lose that day, but it was when he had the Ebola virus? People don't know what's going on behind these guys' paywall. What's happening in their real life? How much stress have they got? Has the girl just dumped them? You don't know all this stuff, and you never do. It's the same with any sport. We see guys' records go like this. If it's a sprinter, one minute they're running really fast, then they're off a little bit because they've got a little tear in the calf. We don't know. They don't publicize it, but that's why. I remember there was a soccer player, football player, UK football player, real football, and he played for my local team for Blackburn Rovers. His name was Tim Sherwood, and he wasn't one of the bigger names on the team. You had guys like Alan Shearer and Sutton, and some of the guys in the world at the time playing for the team. And nobody really spoke much about Tim Sherwood. But one thing I can tell you is this: when Tim Sherwood played well, the team played well. He was a vastly underrated player. And I think there's a lot of guys out there who are vastly underrated, and everybody wants that shot. Here's a shot for you. While we're on let's give everybody a shot. Here's one for you. So people just message me and tell me if there's anybody that could fill this. When you get into that rare air, right? Let's talk about that for a moment. How good are you? All you guys sat at home, how good are you? Are you close to this level? So if you were given a shot to pull Devon LARRATT on the left arm.
Yeah.
Okay. That same week, 3 weeks from now, the week after, who could take that match? Who could give him a match? Would you? Anybody? You message me if you think you could. We heard from Sergei Kalinachenko this week, and his visa has been denied. He was down to pull Devon LARRATT in the dark guard 3. And I'm really interested to throw this out to anyone watching the show, just to see if there is anyone. Because I get all these messages all the time. If I got a shot to do this, I could do this, Could you? Who? Tell me. Show me something. Let's see if anybody steps up. Let's see if there's a single person that, number one, will step up. Number two, is realistic. Has anybody got a shot? If you were given that shot, who could do it?
I know that this guy just pulled and then just backed out of a match that's going to be happening in 3 weeks, so it's not reasonable. But do you think a match with Wagner Bortolato, a rematch, is Wagner that much better now, or is he still living underneath that on the left arm?
Well, Bortolato is one of those known guys for me. He is a measured quantity. He is one of those guys. You could go through a roster of guys that you'd think, okay, that's a match. Alijan Muratov would be one. There's, maybe if he hadn't just had the hip operation, maybe it's him. Corey West. Maybe it's him. But Corey's injured, isn't he? Still.
Yeah.
Even Holden again. The mighty Mr. Merritt. He's just had the hip hop. But who is there? Who the is there that's out there who you could say, when you're in this situation, oh, this guy could come in and pull Devon on his bum arm, on his left arm, his least favorite arm, and 3 days or 4 days after he pulls, Hermes Gasparini in a right arm match. And who the hell would want that match? We will see, because it goes out to all Europe, to all North America. You think you're good enough? Let me know. We'll see if we can work something out.
Get it on. I like that.
I just think it's interesting because I get all these messages from guys saying, I could do this, I could do, you're overlooking this guy. Am I? Show me something. I don't believe there's many. I don't believe there's many guys that can step up to that level. So when you get to that rare air, you get to your Rivas, LARRATT, Devon, Hermes, all these guys. How many is there that you don't know about? Is there any? There's a lot of underrated arm wrestlers, but they sit that level down. And these are the guys that I'm interested to find out. If you know that guy, everybody knows that guy that they believe in so much. Right? You have to have a guy, you know. And I love that you've got confidence. Yeah, I had one, I can't remember the lad's name, used to message the living piss out of me about Ezzy Worden. You know, well, and Ezzy Worden, great lefty puller in the light middles, you know. Solid dude. Love Ezzy. Great pull. This guy had more belief. I mean, he would have backed his boy for 500 quid against God.
Yeah.
In a hook match. You know what I mean? He just, nobody's going to beat Ezzy. And it's interesting. Timmy Turner, yes, I do already have a match. We already have a date. The dark card will be taking place between the 28th of August and the 1st of September. Monday, the 28th of August. Friday, the 1st of September. It will feature various very solid matches. It's a members only thing. You got to remember the World Championships is on around about that time. Okay. So that writes off some of the guys. But again, I'm not looking for the guys that I know. I'm not looking for somebody to ring up. Oh, Tobias, you know, I know Tobias, bro. He's strong. I know there are guys out there. I'm looking for the guy that is somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, they are. Nobody, and they never get that shot. They're never given a shot. Well, opportunity knocks. So let's see. Are you going to knock back? Or is it just that?
Yip, yip, yap.
Yeah, because this is it, isn't it? There's a match. I'll tell you what, you step into that role and you give Devon a match. Your notoriety will go through the roof.
Yes. I really don't think there's anybody in North America, for sure. Surely I don't think there's anybody in North America that's close to him.
I think there's two considerations. Number one, is there anyone? And number two, if there was, have they got the balls to step forward and have they got the wherewithal to step forward? I don't know. Maybe they haven't, but the point I'm trying to make is when you look at the guys that are in that short list, I think I've mentioned most of them. It is guys like Alijan, Wagner, Ferret, the guys with Zaranov. Yeah. These are the guys that may be that guy that could do that, but there aren't many. You know, you start to think about it and you go through in your mind and you think, yeah, maybe it's Tobias Sprong. Okay. Maybe it's Hermes on the left. Maybe it's Corey West. Maybe it's Alex Kadetcha. Maybe, you know, but you know who these guys are. They're already there. I don't believe that when these guys message me time and time again and they say, oh, there's so many guys that aren't given a shot in these promotions at that highest level. The reason for that is that they aren't there. And a lot of them, if they step forward, very, very few can step up to that level. Now, I enjoyed the Savage Search experience that we had guys come through, stepped into a level and did really well at that level, you know. They did really good. And have since gone on and the career goes, you know, into a different place. But really, how many are undiscovered? You know, I'm very keen to see Remy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Remy messaged me. I kid you not. Remy messaged me. And he's like, what do I got to do to get on ARMWRESTLING card? And I love that. Number one, I love that he messaged me. Number two, that he had that much desire. And so I started to play with it a bit and I gave him a few, okay, what about this as an opportunity? And you know what Remy did? He frigging jumped at it. Remy was like, yes, on, now, no problem, let's go. And he's on the card. And I love that. I love that a guy steps forward and just says, yeah, give me the shot.
I'll say this. I only pulled him about 2 years ago when he was like a year or 2 years in. And he felt about what I would expect out of a guy 2 years in. In the last couple of years, he has, I haven't pulled him, but God, I just saw him at Nationals. He murdered everybody at Nationals. Everybody in his way. Murdered him.
That's where he came on my radar. I messaged Devon about him and Mace and a couple of others that had said, you know, what about this guy? What about? And I don't know whether that message got back to me or whether it didn't. But next thing I know, little message comes through, you know, and that's how some of this stuff starts. But it's interesting when opportunity knocks the loudest it can possibly knock. Will anybody step forward? Will anybody meet that call? Is there anybody out there that believes they can do anything. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough call. That's
Yes,
a tough
it is.
call.
But then, you know, you got guys go back and they'll be like, oh, you know, if I was just given the shot. Okay. And we start to see when these guys were saying, oh, no Europeans would pull Devon. I know that wasn't the case. Right. I think that whole rumor has been put to bed recently, hasn't it? Because proof of the pudding's in the eating one more time. And with the prominence of the current situation and the fact that he's in touch with so many people, you can see who wants to pull and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can see that very clearly. And it's always been that way. It hasn't changed, you know. So that's quite interesting. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you can think of a name that we don't know that can step up. Anyone, pull them out your ass. You think you know a guy? Let us know.
Some hoss from deep in the heart of Texas, just like he's just wrangling bulls all day long, and he's, you know, he slaps his hand down and the whole bar tips over. That guy.
That guy. Trip War 030303. Thanks for your super chat, mate. But next Arm Wars left card, Muratov, Devon, Bowen, Morozov. Mate, it's unlikely. Let's have a look.
Oh, yeah.
Not my monkeys. Why are the strongmen not entering arm wrestling? It's just the money. Agent of Chaos. I'd wreck anyone in Arm Wars. Yeah, sure. Devon is in Arm Wars. That's the talking about. So let's go. That's our super heavyweight champion right there.
Right.
Big ask, isn't it? So if he comes in and cracks Hermes, we got the overall world number one as our champion interim.
Right.
Until the man comes back, you know. And so it was. But I don't know. Is he number one? Is the winner of that match number one, guys? What do you think? Let us know in the chat. What do you think? Is the winner of Hermes and Dev the number one right now? The strongest of the strong. What do you think, John? Is he?
I say, you know, for arm wrestling, I say, hell yeah, they are. Because guess what's not good for arm wrestling? Yeah, we got number one, but he's not going to be doing anything for 9 months. That ain't good. That ain't good. Put the title on the guy right now. I don't care. Give him the title and wave that flag heavily. Because if Devon is number one, if we can put over the idea that Devon's number one, that's really good for arm wrestling. That's really good for arm wrestling.
So we have somebody in the chat now, Wolf. Right? And Wolf, Neil's premise. Hey, can we find an unknown football player better than Lionel Messi? Come on, don't be shy. And a laughy face. But mate, no, really. Really, that is what I'm saying. I get messages, you don't understand, mate. I get messages week after week after week telling me that's the case. And I'm like, no, that ain't the case. Believe me, if I put you against these guys, it'd be terrible. I mean, you'd really understand that, just how strong these people are. The top guys in the world are exceptional at what they do. And this is on his bad arm. Yeah. Believe me, there is a disparity between Devon's left and his right. I'm not saying there isn't a disparity between other people's left and right, but on his bad arm, he's far more human, far more touchable on the left arm than he is on the right. We're talking about the rare air goes up another level on the right arm. And I don't think there's many guys, if any, that aren't in that known quantity of maybe 4, maybe 5 athletes who can step into that breach. Very, very good arm wrestlers could try to do that and would be made to look ordinary. That's the level we're talking about. It's very, very difficult.
I just think of, you know how it is when you arm wrestle guys that you know have arm wrestled other guys. So Sandris takes on Devon. He gave Devon a great pull, but clearly Devon is above that. And then I get the chance to pull. I got to pull Sanders freaking first in both classes on the left hand in freaking Arizona. Jesus Christ! And it's just like, God damn it! How freaking strong do I gotta be? It's amazing, right? Because Sanders makes me feel like I'm a little baby, and I'm sure he felt that way against Devon. And when you are able to have those experiences, the levels become so much clearer.
Yeah.
Right. And it's amazing how strong people can be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I watched a couple of the guys, solid pullers, mid-range pullers, but really good, notable arm wrestlers. Okay, and they went against Petrenko at the after pull at East versus West, and you could see the look, the shit your pants side of scary look on their face when they launched it. Bearing in mind he just pulled Chance.
Yeah.
And they launched into him with absolutely every ounce of gusto in their body and just, hit the frigging church wall. I mean, it was like nothing. And you looked at the face of Petrenko and he's like,
do you get it now?
Nothing going on here. And their face was like, oh my God, that's the level. I mean, you need to experience, for most of the guys out there, you can't believe how strong Daniel is.
Oh, Daniel.
Look at him. Pretty small man. Strong. Holy shit.
He's another one up on has to be up there an all-time pound for pound.
Oh my word.
Like, he can't not be there. Amazing.
Particularly on that left arm. Super strong. Comedy strong. I mean, the fact that he's going up in weights now, because he said the other day, at that elite level where it is, like, very rare air, he's going up weights because there's nobody to arm wrestle anymore.
Yeah. Too good.
That's when somebody please come forward. Is there no one else?
I mean, what else can you say? Here, just, I bow.
Hey,
I bow.
Is it a risk though? You get to that situation and there genuinely is no one else.
It depends
so
on.
Let me go back to the Silky Wilkie's question, John. Contracts. And are they so restricted? And we have a situation where you may have an organization that is pulling together the very, very best matches in the world. Now, let's say of those 4 options that are out there, they're in different promotions and they can't arm wrestle each other. Welcome to the world of boxing. And the twain shall meet.
Yeah.
So as that thing starts to spin down, there are different perspectives, I feel. And I'm not sure, without knowing the details of exactly what's going on and who's under what contract and for how long, and what are those restrictions and are there any carve-outs? And that's what I'm keen to understand. I'm not sure it's a negative thing. Maybe it's a positive thing. Maybe it's protectionist for that scenario. I don't know. I'm not saying that is the case or not, but it could well be.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing with arm wrestling too. Time will sort it all out. And for me, just think about this. Have fun. If you're just a arm wrestling fan, let's say, yes, there is a potential that maybe you won't be able to see your match, but watching the progression of the sport, to me, is really fun. Even when things are going wonky and sideways, you can kind of see this thing happening and people change their minds. Like, I look at the sport very differently now than I did 2 years ago, because 2.5 years ago, I'd never pulled anywhere. And in the last 2.5 years, I've pulled all over the world. I've pulled at Arm Wars. I've done the Arm Gods. I've done here, there. And so you get to see things from a different perspective. You get to see things from promoters' perspective. You and I have had lots of long talks about all the shit that you got to do behind the scenes to make things work. And it is interesting. It is interesting. I hope that we can, at the very worst, I hope that we can take something out of it, regardless of where it goes. And I hope that my fellow arm wrestlers are getting paid. That's my number one thing, because it's very hard as an arm wrestler, especially in the elite levels, to really truly make it your livelihood, right? And I hope those guys can do that. If that's what the contracts bring, I hope they're making some money. For sure.
Did you expect it, mate? Did you expect that contracts would come back as soon as, was that something that you thought was unavoidable?
Yes. I was just waiting to see when it was going to happen. There's no doubt in my mind that once we kind of hit, we had this conversation last year and I'm like, Neil, it's 2023, buddy. It's 2023. It's going to be weird. I'm telling you. And I don't know how it's all going to pan out, but certainly it was in the cards, and it will be another growing process, another difficulty in some aspects. It will be difficult for some. It will be better for others. I just hope we can get some fun out of it one way or the other. I'm sure we will.
Oh my God. There's never a shortage of drama in this game. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So Agents of Chaos is coming with a super chat. Hermes may have too much back pressure for Devon, but I think Devon will find a way. Quite possibly, mate. There's a lot of I think Hermes will probably use more than just back pressure as well. I think he'll use varied attacks. I think both these guys are definitely going to use varied attacks.
Yeah.
You know, I think both guys are brave. I think both guys will see go through the range. So in other words, if they do hit a wall or encounter resistance that they didn't expect or a problem that they didn't expect, I think both have got enough options and enough balls that they will go somewhere else. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
Not many guys will do that.
Look, okay, let me say this real quick too, because I haven't had anybody to really talk about this too. At the last East versus West, we did see quite a few 3-0 losses, victories. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were much better than others, but a lot of them, the guy who lost did the exact same thing 3 times in a row. The same thing, literally the same thing 3 times in a row. And I'm just thinking, guys, elite level arm wrestling, we gotta expand. And I'm not saying have been known to be super one-dimensional, but I think we have to really start pushing that. We really got to push it, because the difference in a 3-0 loss, if you go 3 different ways versus doing the same thing every time, is how much fun I had watching you.
Yes.
And if you do the same thing and get beat the same way 3 times, I'm not having much fun.
Mate, so casting our minds back, right, not long ago, the White Orc, all in. He's pulling with Rustam, Bayev.
Yep.
We commentate the match, and what happens. Great performance, great win. I came downstairs, went straight over to Paul, and I said, mate, you know what? Congratulations. And he said, what for that? He said, I'm a bit down on myself, to be honest. Neil didn't want it to go like that. Don't feel like and I said, no, you're missing my point, though. What I'm congratulating you on is the fact that it was going titties south.
Mm-hmm.
You were getting stomped. And you decided, peg on my nose, I'm going all in.
Yep.
Change something. Throw the kitchen sink in. I've already got leathered 2 ways. Done it, the same thing happened. No win there. I'm changing it up and I'm just going in. Caution to the wind, test your frame. In he goes, things change. Suddenly he's the winner. And there lies something for you.
Awesome.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
At least you know you came away that day having given it every frigging ounce you had. And the amount of arm wrestlers that really struggle to do that is huge, mate.
Yeah. The matches that I think about most, of all the losses I've taken, the ones I think about and have nightmares about are the ones where I was not brave enough to go elsewhere, to go where I wasn't comfortable going, to go and do that test. Those are the ones that I want back. Like, you idiot, just do something different.
There may have been a lane and you didn't explore it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it.
And that is a thing, mate. And that's one of the biggest things in the game at the moment. I think it's who's got. I remember talking to RBJ. He was running a competition and he was going to give it additional points for anyone who would win at the end of the day. I think there's a trophy for anyone who won, utilizing different technical range. Yeah. So if you won in a top roll, won in a hook, won in a press, you know, you got an award for that. And it was a big thing.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It forces people out of the comfort zone, because we're all, you know, even you look at a lot of the top guys, they got that ace and it's really, really, really good. Jerry's got the ace. It's really, really good. Mm-hmm. Except for when you come up against the guy that's got the ace that's the perfect way to beat yours.
Yes.
And when that happens, it's a ooh, Nelson.
Terrible. Just, I mean, there's nothing worse when you don't
Nobody
have
has fun except for the guy winning.
correct, and you just got run over. It was like the Vikings rolled into your town, kicked your front door in, and smashed you to pieces in front of you. Not good.
Yeah.
Not a good experience. So I'm a massive advocate of these guys, of Devon and Hermes, changing it up, going for something different, showing that range. And I really hope that both come mentally joined up and with the mental freedom to just fire every frigging bullet they've got in the weapon. Just go for it,
Yeah.
Empty the clip. And if they do, I think we could be in for a really interesting match. I really
Love
do.
it.
So I'm going to let you jump off here in a minute, mate, because I know that you've got better things to do with you Sunday and spend all day with me on here. Trip World 30303, Neil, did you hug and kiss your AC as you got back home? At the moment, mate, no need for AC here in the UK. It's been pretty piss poor weather. Let me tell you, we had an event on down British Motorcycle Grand Prix this weekend. Yesterday, day before the GP, the big races were today. And let me tell you, horrific weather, pissed it down from top to tip. From the moment you open your eyes, it was raining hard to the bloody end of the day, threw it down all day. Welcome to England in the summertime. That's how we roll. It sucked. And today it's been sort of mixed. It's not been warm. It's been just overcast and God. Yeah. So it might be hot in Greece. It might be hot in Italy. It might be hot in Dubai and Vegas. But in England, not at all. Not at all.
All day.
Agent of Chaos with the super chat. You can make someone look like a little baby on a table if you're 10% stronger everywhere. There are many levels, but those levels are close between. They are, mate. Yeah. You can be a lot closer than you think. In the, you say if you're 10% stronger in a couple of areas, mate, if you're 5% stronger in one, and it's one that the guy you're pulling can't defend, yeah, you can really bully someone. You really can. I do hope we don't see that when these two guys meet. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk, as usual with this sport. We'll talk it to death before this thing comes on. But it is close. It's 3 weeks away, John. You'll be on with Aussie, will you, on Monday?
Yes.
And Aussie, I'm assuming Jake was in the chat earlier. Jake may be going live in a minute. Usually does after the show. So get over there and check it out. Paul Lynn, but just got home. Paul, good to see you, mate. We were talking about you just a moment ago. We're going to wrap it up in a second, brother, but hopefully Paul will be back with us next week. Should have a show next week, and we might have some special guests on there. See how we go on. We will be literally fresh off the battle in the capital. Just to give you guys a little bit more info about that again, for our Arm Wars YouTube channel members, we will be letting you see all those matches. So over the duration of this month's membership, we will feed those matches into you. So don't worry, if you're an Arm Wars member, you will get to see all of those. We're not going to be putting those out for the main channel. We will continue with the Iron House 3 stuff. Then the dark card straight off the back of that for channel members as well. LARRATT makes his professional debut in Arm Wars. I'm proud of that as well. We started his dad's career in the super matches, and we're doing the same with Auden. So Auden's got a great match lined up there. A couple of matches, actually, potentially. So looking forward very much to that. Auden's excited, training his ass off, only 18. Just come over and cut his teeth. Should be great. Should be really fun. So Auden's in the dark card 3. As I say, we're looking at other opponents for Dev. Massive shame that they've rejected the visa of Kalinichenko. Can't believe that.
Ridiculous. Let me just one thing though that might save everything is that right now all 314 people can get the exclusive Auden LARRATT rookie card at MaximumBang.com. Everybody.
Hey, everything's launched now. Your website's launched, hasn't it, as well?
It's on. Every order has been shipped from Canada, so it might take a minute. But they're out there. So if you want Auden LARRATT rookie card, boom, you got it.
There you go, ladies and gents. So we're going to wrap it up. It's now, we've been on for about 2 hours, so we're going to call it a day there. John, I want to say a massive thanks for coming on the show, mate. Pleasure to have you on as always. Thanks for the conversation and for assisting the flow of the show. I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time to tune in tonight. Sorry about my ropey voice. Been commentating all weekend, and as John will tell you, it smashes you to bits when you've done like 6 or 7 hours on a mic for 2 days, and then you get on to do another show. Not great, but yeah, got through it. Remember, next weekend, if I can recover, we will be Arm Wars Battle at the Capitol, at the Excel Centre True Athlete Expo in London. If you are in the area, get yourself across there. Sunday the 13th, 12 noon till 4 p.m. matches. If you're an Arm Wars YouTube channel member, you will get to see all of that anyway, guys. So just thank you for all our members that support us on that one. I don't think I've missed any super chat stuff to double check there. If your first time tonight was on this channel, give us a like, give us a sub. And until we see you next time here on The Fix, biggity bong, mother.